pleasure for me to be here. We've had this kind of conversation quite a bit these days. There is a global understanding, as Pete has said, that we need to start having, or we need to change the interaction between the humanitarian actors and the private sector. The sentence that is often said, what should that change mean, is things that we are gradually beginning to understand through discussions such as the one that we're going to have today. But I would like to focus on the refugee issue, which is definitely one of the most topical issues around the world now, whether it is in politics, humanitarian response, development, and the rest, and see how it affects us here in Kenya, knowing that Kenya is the second country in Africa when it comes to number of refugees being received. And if one also looks at the number of years, the time that refugees have been in this country, we have around close to 600,000 refugees, and many refugees have been in this country for the past 25 years. So Kenya is a place which has received a large number of refugees for a very long period of time. The response that has been provided so far by the international community, or at least for the past 25 years, has been to say you have refugees staying in camps and they stay there until they are in a position of going back to their country of origin. Everybody thought that this period would not be more than 5 years, 6 years, but in many situations, as I said, the situation has been up to 25 years. So the first thing that everybody has noticed is that while in appearance that could be the case, the reality is that these camps have become markets, have become economies. So you have people who are in a camp, who are receiving humanitarian assistance every month, who are seen as people who cannot do anything else but to receive humanitarian assistance. And in reality, if you go underneath the surface, you realize that it is an economy which just needs to be considered as such. We need to have that change where we realize that if you have such a large number of people in a concentration in a place, concentrated in a place, it is a market, it has to be treated as such. And hence the need for us to study and understand that market in a different way. But what is clear is that an extended provision of free humanitarian assistance, whether it is healthcare, whether it is education, whether it is food assistance, may not always be positive in the long run. The dependency syndrome that you create is not necessarily the best thing. But it has to be studied, and it has to be studied in an objective way. And then, third thing, to change the way we provide support and assistance. And at that point, everybody is necessary, and everybody needs to play his or her role. The government provides asylum, which is the most important thing. A number of development actors are also present in the places where refugees are being received, but they have to integrate refugees in their development plans. The private sector needs to see the refugees as they are and then see them as a potential market, and that's also an important thing that needs to be done. And then the humanitarian actors need to also be able to change the way they see refugees, and we need to be able to understand that the support that we provide to refugees has to be limited and has to lead to self-reliance. The thing is that we don't have much choice. As Pete said, you have a huge number of humanitarian situations around the world, proportionately less and less resources, because the number of displaced is rising faster than the additional resources that we're getting. So therefore, we do not have the luxury anymore to keep humanitarian situation last for 20 years or more. And therefore, we need to, as often as possible and as fast as possible, move from a situation of dependency to a situation of self-reliance. It's not always possible, but wherever it's possible, that's what we need to do. And in that effort, the role of the private sector is essential.